Hello, good evening and welcome to UPfront. My name is Raymond Alqua. Today, the minority in Ghana's parliament is raising concerns about the Sinohydro deal. This is where government is going to exchange bauxite for some road and other projects. In fact, it starts with the first set of road projects. Some 600 million or so is the amount involved, and some form of agreement was settled on in parliament yesterday. But the minority is concerned about where the money is going, how the money will be expended, and whether or not this is the rightful put of money from the states or people of this republic into projects and how much it's supposed to cost. Today, we'll interrogate the issues with people that raise the concerns and see whether their concerns are legitimate or it lacks the requisite scrutiny in this particular case. My guest, I'll be telling you after this break. Back. This is UPfront. My name is Raymond Alqua. Now, later on the show, the ranking member on the Roads and Committee of Parliament will be my guest. But for now, let's deal with the finance part of this all-important Sinohydro over $600 million deal, which has a bigger component of $2 billion and it's in tranches actually. Some part of it was approved yesterday. My guest is a ranking member on the Committee of Finance and also a former Deputy Finance Minister, Kesela Tufosi. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Now, let's get this clarified. What happened yesterday? I'm told of some form of approval, of some amount of money, or some project financing structure. What exactly was it?
Thank you. Yesterday, Parliament debated the deferred payment agreement.
Okay, so that's what was done?
Yes.
It's deferred payment
agreement, and it was subsequently approved by majority decision.
Okay, the way you insist on majority decision, you want to say that
because I opposed it.
You opposed
it.
Yes,
I opposed
it.
it.
And that's why we are here today.
Yes, that's why
we're seeking to understand exactly why you had, and to be clear, you've been opposing so many things recently, so it fits in that particular one. But this is part of the Sinohydro deal that you opposed first. And this is part of the conversation you said was a loan and not a barter.
Yes. And in fact, as I sit here, I feel good, I feel vindicated, because obviously the point that I raised has come home to be roasted. And why am I saying that? The deferred payment agreement that was laid before Parliament, deliberated upon, and subsequently went through the plenary for approval. We have 10 deferred payment agreements. Each one is for a particular lot. And I'll tell you something. From what we have seen here, the evidence before us, the deferred payment agreement, is nothing but a buyer's credit agreement. Buyer's credit agreement.
Explain the difference between
Yes.
the two.
You see, the document we have here is nothing but a loan. And I say this because, one, I'll give you one example. Under the underlying collateral, that government of Ghana is to give collateral.
Okay.
Two, government of Ghana is to give, if you look at the terms of payment, the terms of payment is nothing but a sovereign guarantee. Okay. They have introduced a sovereign guarantee through the back door. And I'll give you an example. The terms of payment from page 10. Yes, I'll give you an example. It says that if you look at 5.4, it said that the Ministry of Finance irrevocably and unconditionally undertakes to pay the amount due each interim payment certificate, including interest, on the date pursuant to the repayment schedule and following notice served by the Sinohydro and any other party designed in writing by Sinohydro prior to each due date. You see, this is a language that should be in what you call the sovereign guarantee, the sovereign guarantee language. The second one, if you look at 5.5, Ministry of Finance. So it looks
like sovereign guarantee.
It is a sovereign guarantee, whether it looks like it or not, but this is a sovereign guarantee. I'll give you an example. 5.5, Ministry of Finance explicitly, unconditionally, and irrevocably waives any right to withhold payment that it may have under any applicable law, the EPC contract and this agreement, but it be it for suspension of project, defect or delay or whatever. And then 5.6 says the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Roads and Highways and Ministry of Finance hereby further explicitly, unconditionally, and irrevocably waives any right to deduct, set off, or counterclaim in relation to any of the payment obligations, and irrevocably undertakes to pay all payment, including interest, to Sinohydro. This is nothing but a sovereign guarantee. And if you were to look
Except
at the
say that the word sovereign guarantee doesn't find its expression in any way.
Yes, you see, the word, what is sovereign guarantee? Sovereign guarantee is where government irrevocably undertakes to make an obligation approved by Parliament or the sovereign authority of the country.
So if government wanted to do so, why didn't he put it there?
But that is the question, and that is the fact, because the government want to run away from calling this a loan. In fact, yesterday in Parliament, the chairman of the Finance Committee, you can check the hands at a point was calling it a loan. In fact, what is slip of tongue? He wasn't the only person. He wasn't the only person. In fact, what's his name? Dr. Anthony Akotosei, a former Minister of Finance, throughout his debate, used the word loan.
But the IMF insisted this is not.
IMF has not said that. Please, I think it is a mistake for us to. IMF,
really?
They have never said that. I wrote a letter to the IMF to say clarity. They replied the letter and said to me that they are sending it to their head office and come back to me. As we speak, they've not been able to return back.
IMF has not replied.
Nothing. They haven't.
They didn't say that they
haven't. And I'm writing, in fact, further to this arrangement, and then I'm going to serve notice from here. I'm going to write another letter to IMF reminding them of my letter and attach copies of this also to them so that I expect them to make a final determination of the matter because it's important for the country going forward.
So you say that at no point in time did the IMF reply?
IMF has never replied. The last time they replied became a major document. In fact, I wrote the letter. So if they reply, they are going to reply to me.
Certainly.
They're not going to reply to anybody else and copy the authorities that I copied. And I'm telling you that I'm the one that I wrote the letter and they've not replied to me. The first letter was to acknowledge the receipt of the letter and subsequently promised me that they are sending it to their head office for the purposes of interpretation because of the complex nature of the letter that I wrote, and they will come back to me. That was what they said. That was what they said. Subsequently, the IMF have failed to reply to the letter. And I'm going to remind them that I'm waiting on the letter. So I think it's a serious matter.
Okay, no,
it's a serious matter. It's not only that.
It's the part that I need clarity on. So as we speak, you are insisting that there is no reply from the IMF to you or anybody in government, and that the IMF has not spoken anywhere stating that your claim before them, insisting that you wanted clarity on whether this was a loan or some form of a barter deal.
Yes.
It's not really a loan.
I wrote a letter to the International Monetary Fund. I wrote the letter to the mission chief, copied the resident representative, copied the executive director, and asked for an interpretation. In fact, the letter was jointly signed by myself and the minority leader, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu. As we speak, the fund has not given us any interpretation. If they have any answer, it is me that wrote the letter and the minority leader that wrote the letter co-signed with me that will get a reply from. So if I hear from somewhere that somebody is saying that IMF says that it is not a loan, they have not replied to my letter. My brother, this is nothing but a very expensive loan.
Okay, now
an expensive loan.
And you're also saying that you're going to write back to the IMF.
Yes. I'm asking that the fund give me an official response to the matter.
You want to agree that means there's some form of unofficial response?
Yes. No, I can't because I've heard people like yourself making a claim. And I've heard, not the first time, I've heard it somewhere. It's part of government propaganda to let it look as if IMF has come out with a verdict. But I can assure you that as we speak, I wrote the letter. In fact, I'm the one that requested the fund to give me an interpretation.
So when should we expect you to write back to the IMF?
I can even do it tonight. And hopefully by Monday, a letter will be sent to the resident representative to forward it to Washington to give us clarity on the matter.
You still insist this issue has not been clarified?
Look, I still insist that this is a loan. I still insist that the fund has not come back to me. I still insist that this is nothing but buyer's credit. And again, I still insist that the terms as in the deferred payment is nothing but a sovereign guarantee.
All right,
that is the terms.
Let's move on to exactly what are your concerns with it. Because, I mean, you saw the master facility document, right?
Yep.
You saw generally what the 2 billion was going to be used for. Were you told as of that time the exact details on what these projects were supposed to cost?
No. In fact, in the master facility agreement, we were told that they are going to draw down in tranches, and the first tranche will be 500 million.
Okay.
But let me show you something. What, again, my number one concern is the fact that this is a very expensive loan. We are asking Sinohydro, or we are signing a contract, EPC contract with Sinohydro, made up of 10 lots, amounting to $497.2 million US dollars. $492.6 million. If you come to the deferred payment agreement, you will notice that government of Ghana is to pay 15% of the $497.2 million US dollars. And the Sinohydro is lending government, and that is why it's a buyer's credit, lending government an amount representing 85% of the $497.2 million US dollars. If you are to take 85% of 497 million US dollars or 0.2 million US dollars, it is 422 million. But Raymond, strangely, I'll take you to the cost, how much we are spending. Management fee alone, government of Ghana is going to pay 4.1 million US dollars. Commitment fee, government of Ghana is paying 2.6 million US dollars. Insurance alone, we are paying 62.2 million US dollars. Interest and fees for interest during construction fees period is 80.3 million US dollars. If you are to add management fee, commitment fee, insurance premium, and interest, it's amounting to 149.6, approximately 150 million US dollars.
I mean,
and you know what surprises
the figures in the official don't mean anything.
It means a lot.
Except you have a comparator that says this is too high.
Yes, it means a lot. Let me tell you something. 422 million, you are borrowing 422 million.
Yeah.
But you are going to pay interest. The cost of the 422 million is $150 million. So you are spending more than a third. In fact, 35.5%. Because if you express 150 million over 422 million, yeah, it will get 35.5%.
Okay.
That alone is huge. Raymond, this is a lot.
Normally, what would have been a more appreciable
You see, we have something we call the all-in cost. And all-in cost is when you look at the insurance, you look at commitment fee, you look at management fee, and interest all put together, and then you assess all-in cost. In the past, when we did the China Development Bank agreement, the all-in cost was 4.1%. 4.1, to be precise, was 4.15%. This government has gone back to renegotiate the all-in cost for CDB and make it 6.1%. This one, the all-in cost, is in excess of 7.7%. That is too much per annum. That is too much. And that is why, if you express it in nominal terms, you are borrowing an amount of 422 million, yet you are paying interest of 150 million US dollars. That is a lot. And you know what surprises me? I'll take you through that. One, yesterday we were told that the management fee, government of Ghana is going to borrow for the purposes of servicing the management fee. They are also going to borrow to pay the commitment fee. They are going to borrow to pay the insurance premium.
Forgive me. Borrow money outside the remit of this.
Yes, that's what they're saying. That is why they are talking about 646 million.
Yes, and not 420.
Yes. You see, so they are saying that even the interest, and Raymond, look at this. It says interest and fees for interest during construction fee. What is the fees for interest? It means you have gone to borrow to pay the interest, and it's going to attract a fee. This is not my document. This is a document from Parliament. This was actually given to us as members of Parliament by the Ministry of Finance. So they are even going to borrow for the purposes of servicing the interest.
But we're never told that there's an element of this particular deal that included we directly going to any institution to borrow money for it. That was never part of the conversation from day one.
Evans, Raymond, let me tell you, this government is hiding something from us. I don't know why they don't want to come clean and tell all of us that, one, they want to go and borrow for the purposes of infrastructure. In fact, we have said time and time again that we are not against any government trying to develop our infrastructure. But let me also assure you, but we actually care about the cost of that infrastructure, and we care about the amount where you are taking the money from, and we care we don't want any attempt to hide public fund. But clearly, we are seeing an attempt by this administration to hide public fund. An attempt by this administration to hide public fund. And you know something instructively, something actually hit me today. In the bills of quantities that my colleague may be talking about it briefly, bills, They should have actually done what you call value for money. We were told that they are going to do value for money after approval.
From Parliament.
From Parliament. And you know something, and that is why I looked at the document again. Normally, anytime we say we'll do value for money after approval, we insist that you have a line item as part of the condition precedent, the CPs, that you add value for money. But in this agreement, the condition precedent excludes value for money. So it means the loan will be effective, drawdown will be effective, even if you don't do value for money. So it's not mandatory.
Where is it in the agreement?
Oh, look at the condition precedent, and there's no value for money in the condition precedent. There's no value for money. All the CPs here that I've read excludes value for money. There's nowhere in agreement that you see value for money. You see, it hurts, and this is a major concern. And my brother, I also point you to something. Look at the annexes of the agreement. You see, you have here forms of notice of assignment. What this simply means is that Sinohydro, after going to borrow from a bank called International Commercial Bank of China, ICBC, Sinohydro is going to borrow from them. They are going to assign their entire right to the bank. And this is a copy. This is the assignment document.
Okay, I get you.
You see, and look at this, notice of assignment of debt. They said it's a debt. They are saying it's a debt, and look at what is there.
Okay, so that part I've seen talks about the contract agreement for construction and rehabilitation of solitary roads and interchanges in Ghana. And it talks about the date to be inserted in there between you and us within the period. And they refer to the deferred payment agreement, which you passed yesterday, actually. And the second one is also as amended from time to time. We also refer to deferred payment. Also, terms and expressions defined as construed in the deferred payment shall have the same meaning. We hereby notify you that we have entered into an account receivable financing agreement, pursuant to which we may assign to the name in this case. What you wanted me to take note of was all our rights, interests, benefits, and all claims under or to all parts of the payments by you under EPC contract and the deferred payment agreement, and all the claims to which we are entitled to for the deferred, including the debts owed by you to us, as set out in the IPCs in accordance with the EPC. So your point is that they are admit there's some debt. There
is a debt, and then look, let me point you to something. Look at the acknowledgement of the notice of assignment and what the Ministry of Finance is saying. Okay. How to acknowledge it. They are acknowledging a debt.
No, let me get this straight. It says that the part where acknowledgement of notice of assignment, the assigned debt will become due and payable from us, in accordance with the provisions of the EPC, the deferred payment. But is it not, okay, so when there's a barter, how do you call the terms of exchange? If you do something for me, I have to actually do pay back. Is it not supposed to be paid with the bauxite?
Have you seen a barter that we have a commitment fee, management fee, interest rate in a barter agreement?
Commitment
fee, interest rate. Arrangement fee, management fee.
Sorry, are these not
all as part of barter?
Is this not really supposed to be between Sinohydro and the Exim Bank, where we told they are getting the money? Is it not really
Sinohydro?
What you're supposed to know from this?
It's not borrowing from the Exim Bank, unfortunately.
Really?
Sinohydro is getting the money from International Commercial Bank of China, ICBC.
I see.
Yes, and then they are actually going to assign their responsibility, and that's how buyer's credit works.
No, but
their responsibility to that bank to deal with the government.
Is this part of interest and all of this supposed to be applying to them so that Sino that's getting the loan from them will not run at any cost that's lower than its own?
No, it doesn't work that way. You see, the thing is clearly a loan. The government is only trying to run away from that.
When you get your final response from the IMF, that can be clarified.
Yes.
But my concern is, you're talking about commitment fees and also management fees. You get the impression that this is way too high.
It's very high.
And I'm asking, way too high compared to exactly what?
Yes, and I've given you an example.
Agreement?
I'm giving you an example.
Okay.
Government of Ghana recently, not too long ago, under NDC, engaged the China Development Bank, which is you can compare that to ICBC because they are all commercial banks. They don't lend concessional loans. The Exim Banks gives you concessional loans. Okay, buyer's credit and concessional loans. The CDB, under the CDB, also a commercial loan, the all-in cost is 4.15% to be precise. under the CDB agreement that was passed in 2011. That's the major Chinese loan that we've had in this country. Apart from that, so you can compare that to the loan we are getting from the ICBC. The ICBC loan, of which Sinohydro is fronting on behalf of the Republic of Ghana, is attracting interest, all-in cost of 7.7%. So you see the disparity.
I see.
That is how huge it is. So you are talking of interest in excess of 3.5%. 3.5% additional.
But
and that is what I'm saying.
2011, 2018 are really
in fact,
different times.
But you see, in any case, and I'm happy. Yesterday, as part of the debate, when I raised the issue, the Honorable Dr. Akotose, as part of his debate, conceded that even the Minister of Finance himself considered that it is an expensive loan, and further to the discussion that we are having, they will look at the possibility of renegotiating it. It is in the hands that I didn't say that.
I get your point.
So the loan, even the government deep in their hearts.
So you say government
they know the
possibility of
renegotiating it. They said it. He thanked me, said that too. I appreciate your concerns. I know where you are coming from. But you see, we can only renegotiate it after the concerns have been listened to. And he said he's a listening government, so he's going to. Well, whether they are listening government or not, we are waiting.
But the Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation did not put together this loan.
No, he didn't.
Yes,
but he's a member of
finance minister.
He's a member of cabinet.
Yeah, okay.
He's a member of cabinet.
He can only raise it at cabinet.
So probably he may have had some input. I'm not aware. But in fact, in all fairness, I wasn't at the finance committee on last Saturday when they were discussing that.
Okay.
But last Saturday, what happened was that apparently, and Dr. Akotose even said it on the floor, that the finance minister had signaled at the committee that they know that this is very expensive loan and they are going to do something about it because they know certainly will raise concerns about it.
I get your point. So you're waiting for them to come in with this. Is there another issue you raise with this apart from the
I have another issue.
Commitment management and the other things that the cost around it?
Yes. I'll show you something. The underlying collateral, what we are saying is that government of Ghana is going to open an escrow account for the purposes of collecting the bauxite revenue and using it to repay. And at any point in time, he said that the interest will be paid twice per annum. So it means biannual. You pay every 6 months within the year. Now, what they are telling us is that at any point in time, you should have interest 2 times in that escrow account to be able to settle it. So if you start from year 1, you should have, let's say, 1 whole year interest in the account. First 6 months and the second 6 months.
I see.
Okay. And in the agreement, they are telling us that, 1, government of Ghana should mobilize bauxite revenue and pay into account. And if they don't have bauxite revenue, they should look for tax revenue and pay it into the account. 2 questions here. Tax revenue is public fund.
Yeah.
1, bauxite revenue, the revenue is public fund.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That's also true.
Yes. So per the Constitution, Article 181, if you use public fund to service any debt, any liability, that is a loan. Article 181. And then you can read from Article 181 to Article 1811 to Article 1816. It's there, obvious. The question here is that even the bauxite revenue that we are talking about, the government has not put in any form of infrastructure in place for us to be sure that that revenue is coming in. Any form of infrastructure. You need to have access roads. You need to have electricity to the site. You need to mine it, set up a refinery, refine the bauxite to an alumina, find an off-taker, sell to, and pay for the debt. All of that is not in place and nobody is talking to us about it. When you are to ask which part of the bauxite they are going to mine, they say they don't know.
Nobody is not commencement places. We know where bauxite is in the country.
So what sort of
arrangement? Commencement engagements.
Chief, you are engaging a liability.
But yes, but we don't have money to put up this infrastructure. If the money doesn't come, what happens?
If it doesn't come, that is my question. If it doesn't come, if you fail to put the infrastructure in place for you to be able to get the revenue, this debt, you cannot service it. You cannot service it.
It's not too early to raise
It is not too early. It's not too early.
Ideally, what would have been your perfect timing for this infrastructure to be put in place?
The perfect timing is 1, you put the infrastructure in place.
When?
Now.
As in how many months before the official parliament approval?
You see, it doesn't take 1 day to mine bauxite. It doesn't take 1 day to put the infrastructure in place. to surprise you that you will need maybe 3-4 years plus. In fact, you will need even more.
Government says actually 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Well, but 2 years, what sort of infrastructure have they put in place? As we speak, nobody has been able to come out to tell us that they've given concession to A or B. And they are failing to tell us that they are going to put infrastructures in place A or B, whether road infrastructure, electricity infrastructure, and whoever is building the refinery. It doesn't take 1 day.
At least we know that they have actually taken concession from what they call the Exxon Cubic and Co. That means they are available to be given out.
That is not the case. I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that because I know the matter is before the Supreme Court. I know the matter is before, because Exxon Cubic won the case at the High Court, and then the government appealed. It's the government that appealed and went to Supreme Court.
Yes.
So the government, if the government, I heard the government saying that they've won the case. If they've won the case, why is that they are going to the Supreme Court?
Yeah,
the Supreme Court.
The point you're making.
So let's wait for Supreme Court to make the pronouncement on the matter.
To be fair, bauxite sites, there are about 4 of them, 4 major ones.
Yes, so, it's 3.
Yeah,
it's 3. Okay. It's 3. We have one at Awaso. It's encumbered.
Okay.
We have the one at Yini that we are talking about, the Exxon Cubic one that is now at Supreme Court. And we have one at Chebi. And you know, the Chebi one, the grade is so low. Low grade bauxite. Everybody knows this.
So that's only
low grade. It's only that is available. Low grade bauxite. So you cannot use that for the purposes of turning it from alumina to a bauxite to an alumina. So I'm more concerned about the sources of revenue to pay this debt.
As in, you are not sure we'll be able to raise the money within the period that the bauxite is supposed to come into place and pay them?
I'm not sure that we'll be able to, 1, raise the money. 2, I'm not sure that we are putting the needed infrastructure in place to bring the revenue. I'm not sure how they are going to classify it, whether as part of government revenue and it's going to feed into the fiscal. So long as they are not recognizing it as debt, and then the expenditure is not going to feed into the budget, they're hiding something. What they are doing, I can tell you, is creative accounting.
What do you mean by
creative accounting in the sense that they want to run away from public debt. Run away from the expenditure so that it boosts, debt to GDP boost, because what will happen is that this expenditure should feed into the fiscal as an expenditure, and then it will increase the deficit and increase the primary balance and add to the debt. They don't want to see that. That's what they are doing. And we all know where it's coming from.
Well, it's interesting how this conversation is supposed to go back. I need to wrap up quickly with you on this matter. We're going into the detailed programs and projects they seek to do across the country. The final point I want to ask from you is that, so you in the minority cannot do anything about these. When you say that government is willing to look at the cost of all of this, is government willing to listen to all the issues you've raised and perhaps make amendments, or is it a done deal?
You see, I think the earlier this administration realized that the NDC and the minority in government has a major stake in the governance of this country.
The stake really involves making sure that government looks bad and remove them.
No,
with your good
the
self.
stake, you see, my brother.
But if the government stays in office for the next 2 or 4 terms, the NDC really let me tell you, without any structures.
I am a Ghanaian first and a member of the NDC second.
That's what politicians say.
No, that's not what about. You see, when this country succeeds, okay, I succeed as a Ghanaian. When this country looks good, I look good as someone who have had the privilege to serve in a high office as a Deputy Minister of Finance, or to serve this country as a Member of Parliament for 3 times at the minimum.
So, forgive me.
What I'm saying is
was it possible that you could have raised these concerns, mindful of how interested you are in our development at committee level, or more importantly, with the ministry without doing it on the floor of Parliament? Before all and sundry.
I did. You see, I raised all of these concerns and more at the Finance Committee. But this government has an attitude in Ethiopia. We don't care. We don't care. We will talk, but we will listen to you by the end of the year. This is what is happening. This is what is happening, unfortunately.
Maybe their argument is superior to what you say.
No, what's the argument? What's the argument? Now all of them are, all of a sudden, they've changed their tone, calling it a loan. Daily Guide, the government
Daily Guide is not.
Daily Guide, government mouthpiece. One said that we want to sabotage the agreement by writing to IMF. Now they've come to our conclusion today in their front page that it's a loan. Thank you.
Now, thank you so much, Honorable. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll continue with a deeper conversation on the exact projects that this amount of money is supposed to be spent on. We're not looking at the finance part, we're not looking at the pure finance talk. We're looking at the roads, which areas, how much it's costing us to put up these roads under the big Sinohydro deal, which is almost 600 million. After this break. You're welcome back. This is Upfront. My name is Raymond Aqua. In the first part of this conversation, in fact, today, we sought to find out from the minority in Ghana's parliament exactly what are their concerns with this Sinohydro deal. Yesterday, they dealt with a part of it. They're continuing today. And the crux of the conversation is that they are very truly opposed to many parts of this deal. First, they said the arrangement, as you heard me talk to the Honorable Kesula Forcing on the Finance Committee about the arrangement was not in the right taste. 2, it talks about fees that we're supposed to pay on that. And 3, whether or not we are getting value for money in this country. He also says that we're even unprepared with our box-size structure to get it working the way it ought to work. In fact, he said government had admitted some of these issues. And so we were also seeking to find out what else can be done to make sure that we get value for money. But now, let's go into the specific road projects and specific projects that the amount of money, almost 600 million, is supposed to be used for. Well, with me to do this is the Honorable Member of Parliament and also the ranking member on the Roads Committee of Parliament. The Honorable Kwame Abuja, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Raymond.
How are the people of Adaklu doing?
By His grace, we're surviving. It's not very easy under President Akufo-Addo.
Adaklu is one of the poorest areas in the country.
Yes, I agree. It's one of the poorest areas lacking a lot of infrastructure. But we've made some progress, especially in education.
But you are opposed to government going for money to improve infrastructure?
Not at all. The NDC is noted for infrastructure. Indeed, one of the things that we were mocked by the NPP is that we don't eat infrastructure. Infrastructure is not all that you need and all those things. But we are happy that today they've done a 360 and are now bent on doing infrastructure. Unfortunately, by their notion, at all cost. That is what we are opposed to. NDC, in fact, on this week alone, I can tell you there were a couple of loans that came to Parliament, and people actually forget how much loans we take on a daily basis under this government. And guess what? Including myself, we supported it when they decided to resuscitate the CDB loan and all those things, whether it's the landing site, all those things. We fully supported it because we reminded them. They opposed it and said it wasn't good enough. Now, they brought them all back, but we stuck to our principles and supported it, unlike them. So we're not against infrastructure development at all, but it's all about the details of this particular CDB
Yes,
loan.
we're going straight to it and get to know the clear-cut details in all of this. Yeah. So many people in this country knows that Accra Town Roads, Kumasi Town Roads, and many wonderful infrastructure developments are supposed to come along with the CBD. Exactly what are your concerns with this?
Well, first of all, let me explain something. And if anybody thinks that because we're going to get the amount of money that is actually going to do the construction is just around $490 million.
Okay.
The 646 million you see, just as my colleague Honorable Atuforsen said, about $150 million of that is just the charges or the cost of borrowing the money. So the 490 million, we are saying that the accruals to road funds in 2 years is equivalent to all the noise we are making about the Sinohydro. So basically, if we want to look for resources to develop our road infrastructure and other things, there are so many other ways of doing it instead of this expensive method. And let me get into the details. As you are aware, the government forced, and well, they have the numbers. They passed the financial part yesterday in the House. They intend to build about 441 kilometers of road and 2 interchanges. My brother, the cost of this project, including the interchanges, is about 646 million. If you take the interchanges, one at Tamale and then one at PTC runabout at Takoradi out, which is 46 million, and then another one 68 million, you come to a figure. If you divide by the kilometers they're supposed to do, you are looking at a kilometer of these roads running way above $1.2 million. This will be the most expensive road project ever done in Ghana. There's no doubt about it. And guess what? Much of this road is not even asphalt.
Not interchanges.
No, I've already told you that I've taken the interchanges out of it.
Specifically, not necessarily in this case.
Which
Okay,
one?
so hold on.
Yeah.
Are we dealing with road projects as in ordinary roads, a kilometer without interchanges, or with interchanges?
Exactly. The figure I gave you of 1.2 million does not include the cost of the interchanges. The cost of the interchanges is 46 million, which is the one at Tamale, and then 68 million, the one at Takrady. That has been taken out. So if you take the 646 million, you take out about 115 million, you divide 441 kilometers by it, it's way above $1.2 million. And I'm saying that much of these roads are not even asphaltic surfaces.
What is it then?
It's just ordinary road, the double seal. I mean, so the one that the ordinary person will call Kota Road. That's what it is. And that is why we're saying this will be the most expensive road. And there's a reason for it.
Sorry, you're comparing it to which one? Because I've heard this 1 million.
Okay, let me tell you this. Not too long ago, when the government of the NDC noticed that cocoa still remains the backbone of this country, we decided to leverage on the cocoa receivables and build roads related to cocoa in this country. One of those roads that I keep crying for every day is if you go to Prestia and then Samri Boy, a road network of about 46 kilometers. My brother, is the area in the country with the highest production of cocoa per square kilometer. The NDC awarded this road under the Cocoa Road project. This road has been suspended because when NPP came to government, you are fully aware that they cooked up a story and said that the Cocoa Road projects the projects were inflated. Some of the roads didn't even exist. And you are aware that I've been asking for the report of the Cocoa Road till today, which doesn't exist because what, my brother, they lied. There was no question about that. Under those projects, a kilometer of road ranged between 1 million and then 2.1 million Ghana cedi.
Okay, so Ghana cedi. That's what I want clarity on.
So
but this is dollars, $1.2 million.
$1.2 million. So under the NPP, a kilometer of an ordinary road is over 5 million Ghana cedi. That can only be an attempt by somebody to cook up figures and chop. If I want to put it in a plain language, that is what we are talking about, that these roads are too expensive. My colleague has already explained to you, why would we be against construction of road? But we are thinking that things have not been done properly. Let me give you another example. This is an EPC contract. EPC, engineering, procurement, construction.
Okay.
In other words, this contract, the developer, which is in this case Sinohydro, is supposed to done the studies, design, construct, and commission. But guess what? If you look into this document, you can see bills of quantity. And why do they have bills of quantities? Because all these roads have already been studied thoroughly. How do you call it? The bills of quantities derived because the agencies, whether it's feeder roads or highways, have done this all over the years. So we are attempting to pay an EPC contractor to do a survey and design what has been done before. So it is something, because these are, look, if these were like ballpark figures, like round figures, but they go to quite a great extent to be precise. Look, a mass concrete in base, footing, and ground slab, thickness 150 to 300, 2,201. You don't do that if you're not sure of the quantity. It means that you know the design. So we are believing that, to start with, somebody knows that we ought not be paying Sinohydro for any study and design. But they have put it in here that is what we're going to be doing.
Now, let me get this straight.
Yes.
And let me appeal to that, not the NDC member thinking, but the architect in you.
Yeah.
If you really are talking about road construction, the cost may differ from place to place. There'll be variations.
Perfectly.
And so when they give you specifically $1.2 million, exactly what detail did they give you to support that claim? So it's not made to look very simplistic and say, well, we had this amount previously, and now this is how much you want to construct this.
Well, the only reason that you tell me a cost of road, a road that costs maybe between 1 million and 2.1 million Ghana cedi would become over 5 million, the only reason that can be is that then the country's economy have become so bad that the exchange rate have become so poor, or the cost of materials and everything have more than 100% gone up. And is that the case we are trying to say here? No. But if you look critically into the document, there are things, apart from the fact that I told you, things don't add up. If you take, for instance, let me give this one is a Ofuansi Kuma Akimoda Brim, a road of 38 kilometers is called Lot 9. In that project, it says what? I mean, the first part of the bill, specified requirement. Provide for clients project management services such as residence and office accommodation for engineer staff, site visit and meetings, vehicle and other things. $720,000. I can give you a 2-bedroom house for $50,000. Not even in Ofuansi, even in Accra.
It's not your specifications that are being used in this case. So see,
hold on. The reason I can tell you this is that you're not going to build a luxury house for a site work because it's temporary work.
Yes.
So I'm telling you that you can get a 2-bedroom house for $50,000. So what is the point of, what is all this $750,000 supposed to be doing? And you go for it. Obtain land in consultation with the client to set up contractors' site camp. $600,000.
For a site camp?
A site camp. Ofuansi, not East Legon.
But you don't know how big that's supposed to be, right?
Well, unless you want to tell me they need a site to, what are they going to launch, how do you call it, a spacecraft?
No, but you see, again, I want us to take it in the way that ordinary people will
You're doing very well
to
give reasoning to it.
No,
it's not going to wash.
I'm not, no, it's only fair that this does not just become what? It's too huge.
It is.
But the justification is this. How big is this site camp going to be?
No, the way to say it is, how big is this project? 48 kilometers.
Take your time.
So this is just from here to what?
Sorry. I want my questions answered.
Yes.
How big is this site camp going to be? Has it been detailed there?
No.
You don't know the details?
No. But I can tell you why. I can tell you why. Because if you're building 46 kilometers, you don't need a 10 square kilometers of land to be able to. What do you want to do here? You want a site compound that you can haulage materials, chippings, bitumen, fuel, some reinforcement iron rods, some space for workers to stay. That's it. You're not looking for a place to play football. You're not looking for a place to farm. That's not what you're looking for. So as far as I'm concerned, maybe 3 acres of land, 4 acres of land would do for this particular project.
What has been the justification to you about why they had to spend this much on that?
When we looked into this, and one thing hurts me seriously about this, we are politicians. I am aware, and quote me, I am aware that much of the figures here were done in a hurry. I have full confidence in my colleagues who work under the agencies.
What do you mean by that?
What I'm trying to say is that it's on record, and quote me, that a few of the controversial things that came to Parliament recently, we are told emanated from the office of the Vice President, whether it's Ghana Post GPS.
So when you say we are told, who are you referencing?
When we are told.
Yes.
And I can give you an example. For instance, when
specifically, I'm talking about this project, not Ghana Post
GPS. This project, in fact,
who told you that it was done in a hurry? That's the specifics I want.
My sources tell me it was done in a hurry.
Who are these sources?
Oh, I have my own sources.
Yeah, but I mean, clearly, I demand
my sources had a ministry.
I demand strict proof.
Yes, my sources.
I can't quote your sources to absorb
Let me tell you.
Yeah,
my colleagues at the ministry are very diligent. They will never put these figures here.
Okay, so let's be clear.
Yeah.
They didn't do it, but they know somebody else did it.
Yes.
In a hurry.
Yes.
And you are saying that you trust that information so well that it is supposed to be
and
true.
I can prove it to you now. When we were doing the zipline thing, another controversial one that came from the Vice President, of which he's not afraid to put his reputation on it, there were people from his office who were sitting in a meeting with the health committee. And I'm telling you that the caliber of people...
Sorry, if the people sit in the committee with the health committee, what does it mean?
Hold on. This project is from Ministry of Health. Why should people from the Vice President office be sitting in a committee or parliament meeting? Is this to cajole them to do something? And I'm saying that the caliber of people...
So who are those in the meeting specifically? Who are those?
I'm not going to mention their name. It's unfair to mention their name.
But you see, I would... And then make the claim, because I would insist that you give me some specifics. No, sorry, Honorable. I insist that you give me some specifics, so it does not become like making generalized claims.
I am surprised. I'm surprised you, a journalist, who always says that you have to protect your sources. Today, you are asking me to declare my sources.
But you are telling me that a committee meeting of Parliament had people from the office of the Vice President. How is that secretive? How does that require you to protect sources?
I didn't say it's secretive. I'm just giving you.
So I'm asking you to name the people who are in the vice president's
office. I wouldn't name them. I'm not going to name them.
It's very possible that they were not existing in the first place.
That's fine. That's your view, and I can take your view. And I'm saying that one of the reasons I thought this document couldn't have been put together by my colleagues, civil engineers, and then quantity surveyors at the ministry is that some of the figures, especially those belonging to Urban Road, are outrageous. There's no way any of my colleagues would do this project and attempt to make government pay $1.2 million, over 5 million Ghana cedi for an ordinary third road. They were not going to be able to do that. That is why I'm telling you that this project, NDC as a minority, is not against building of roads. We are just saying that value for money must be obtained. And in Parliament, they came up with this interesting position that Parliament always approves loans, and then we say we should go and do value for money, which is partly true. But this year, even this year, when we were doing Bekwai District Hospital, the completion, it came with full value for money report attached to it. So why are we not doing the right thing? Why are we quick to jump to make reference to the things that we have done wrongly? And I am not even afraid to say that we've done something like that even under the NDC. But we're in 2018 going to 2019. Should we be repeating those things? I don't think so. Government would have the full cooperation of NDC.
As in going ahead with a project and seeking approval without value for money assessment. That's what you mean by NDC has done same before.
Yes, we have done same before.
I just wanted to be clear. Because you moved on. I just wanted to be clear on that. Yes. Okay, but yes, I get your point.
Yes.
So now this is something you are raising.
Yes.
You raised it at a committee level.
Yes.
And what was their response to it? Did they reject it? Did they say it was not reasonable?
In fact, they've ignored a lot of things about this project. When I asked, for instance, have you got even to borrow $600 million? Have you even got Attorney General's a legal opinion on all that you are doing? No, we don't have legal opinion. We'll get legal opinion later. Have you got any indication of what PPA thinks about this? No, we don't need it. Who says you don't need it? This is government money. Even if you borrow money, like my colleague said, even if it's money you donated to you for free, once it hits the government chest, it has become government money. We raised the issue about local content. They said on the master agreement there's something called local content for 30%. The construction agreement doesn't have anything like that. And why did I raise that? Because I want to know what the local contractor is going to be able to do in terms of partnering to do this. So I'm looking for an opportunity for the local contractor. There's nothing in this document like that. So all the basic things, ingredients that makes a contract valid and gives reference to the government to be able to fight back if the Chinese contractor decide to play to play tricks with us. All these things in this agreement, the government have let them loose. In other words,
it's a bad deal.
It's a bad deal.
Completely bad deal.
Well, the idea of building road is not a bad idea. This process is a bad idea. And all we wanted is withdraw this, go back, work on the issues we raised. Even if you think what we are saying is not right, go and check it again, bring it back. We are with you. That's all it is.
Okay.
Let it not be said anywhere that NDC doesn't want roads built. We have been accused of building too much roads. How on earth could we stop it?
That's your point. I mean, does government breach any rule, law in this country in putting together this particular document and asking you to approve it? The government breach any?
I am not a lawyer, but I believe that when you want to do an agreement of this nature and you have clearly called it a loan, they've said it a couple of times on the floor, and then you don't want the people to know that it's a loan, I think you are trying to hide something, and it could be a breach at a point in time. And I believe...
Okay, so it could be a breach of which specific regulation? I want to be clear.
PPA is not... we don't have any opinion from PPA. We don't have a legal opinion. We don't have any issue about... how do you call it, local participation and all those things. You can say that...
And I agree, you feel strongly about these things.
Yes.
The natural question will be, why are you not protesting in court?
Oh, but we just started the process. But you see, the first line of defense as an opposition party or a minority party is not to put impediments in the way of government. It's to reason with government.
Yeah, I agree.
It's to raise the thing. Mm-hmm. We are in the process of being ignore them because of their numbers.
Why would they ignore it? They are very reasonable, what they call the claims. And I understand them to be so.
Well, it's difficult for me to understand that one because I was trying to ask them, do you feel comfortable to pay 5 million for something that you call 2 million? I asked them this question. And I could see from the demeanor of my colleagues on the other side that Some of them don't feel comfortable about it, but the truth is that many of them only saw this when it came to Parliament.
And
so
if I ask you the specific people, you tell me that it's also source you want to protect.
Oh,
Because
I can tell you something.
I
put this question.
I've heard the chairman of the finance committee say that they will demand that the right things are done.
No, you see, when you have this, sometimes let's be careful when we say things they will demand. When you have this agreement already signed, demand what? Let me show you the page. They have already signed this. And that is another thing we raised in Parliament, that why are you here wasting our time? Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah.
It's been signed. So what are you doing in Parliament?
But just yesterday, he said that they will insist on value for money audits for these Sinohydro projects, and that to him, it's not a big deal, that they actually are going through the first phase without it. It will finally come in before all of these projects get to kick in.
So when we have a value for money, we are approving 646 million.
Yeah.
And the value for money says it should be 300 million. But then you have signed a binding contract with you. Then the developer will just say that you have breached the contract. Because, you know, there's nothing in this contract that says that after the value for money, if government finds that we have been overcharged, we have the right to terminate.
Okay, sorry, forgive me. What he says is that we cannot start this project until you have a value for money audit, and he makes the point. And he proceeds to say that auditing, of course, I mean, for money auditing, because this is like
where is that in this agreement?
Now, I'm saying that he is stating that as Parliament, as Finance Committee, they would insist that value for money is done, because this is like going through sourcing. And that's the point he's making.
No, the reason is that they've passed it. It was not even part of the resolution that was taken in Parliament. So what he told you was just a word of mouth. What was on the resolution that was passed, they did not include that. When you have a situation where a picture, they call it a picture is supposed to cost, to take a picture to augment.
Sorry. He says that after parliamentary appearance, we have to go do a value for money audit where the sums are revised.
Where is that in this agreement? That is all I'm asking. Where in this agreement is it obligatory for them to do that? They should show me. They should show me. And that obligation says that when the value for money says that...
You're insisting there's no deal, there's no room for anything like that.
No, I mean, it's not. There's nothing binding here. So even if there's a value for money that says that this project should be 300 million instead of 600 million, the Chinese developer can say that, look at your signature. You've signed on the dotted line.
Only 600,
yes,
not 200.
I asked my colleagues, should we be happy to tell the people of this country that on one project, we are spending $141,000 on pictures just to take a side picture?
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
Yes, you see, when you do projects like this, when you put in an interim certificate, you ought to, because maybe the person vetting...
Show evidence that...
Yes, exactly.
Might not have gone to your site,
exactly.
So you have to show evidence.
So, which we all do in the industry.
Yeah.
But on one project, $141,000, and which worked out...
Sorry, to prepare the portfolio that you present as part of your certificates, right?
Well,
but the way you're making it look like just taking pictures
I have done certifications.
Yeah.
And even this week, I've done a certificate for a work. I don't know of a project like this that you take 1,000 pictures for one certificate. And this is just 2-year, 3-year project. And I'm saying that to pay $141,000 just for pictures on this project, on one of them, when we calculated it, a picture was going to cost $60. That can buy you a whole camera. I don't think my colleagues on the majority side want to sit and endorse this.
Not the very best of cameras, let's be clear.
Yes.
Not the very best of cameras, let's be clear.
In fact, this you can get a phone that can take that picture, and that phone will not be less. It will be less than $60. You see, I don't want to.
No, see, you're making it look like this is. You see, it's not just anything that ought to be represented in this case.
It is, my brother, because on site, it's not to take a picture of somebody like you in a showbiz who need to look glamorous. It's just to say that this is concrete. This is a hole that has been filled. This is aggregate. It's not to say that they should see you in all your handsomeness.
$148,000.
Yes, on one project.
On just taking pictures.
On taking pictures.
And sorry, I mean, it's not a single stretch of road. It's different schools, right? Well, different road projects, right?
I will repeat again. You're doing very well asking the right questions. But I'm saying that when it works out that sometimes a picture costs $60, I believe either that is a mistake, which they should just quickly admit and rectify. Justifying it wouldn't wash, because you see, a frame of picture can't be $60.
What's the way forward? It looks like I don't listen to you.
Well, then unfortunately, that will be the bad side of democracy. But we on the minority would have done our job. by raising the right questions. And I can guarantee you, we have supported this government on countless occasions, including going to Parliament on the Saturday on which our party ought to be organizing a national election. We went to Parliament just to bend backwards to support this government to do things.
That's happened.
So when we do these things, you can only tell that we are ready to support government to pursue the development.
Money. Sorry, Ghana will lose money, a lot of it, right?
Yes, that's what it is.
That's what you believe in.
That is what it is. That's what's going to happen.
But you sit by for us to lose the money.
Well, I'm not going to sit back, and we're not going to sit back. In fact, we are grateful to your network, yourself and your network, for providing this opportunity for us to have this discussion. We believe there's somebody watching this program who should question and say, is this being done in my name? Can I compel government, if not to do anything, to look at what Kwame and Ato came to say here? Have they got a point? Even if it's not entirely the best point, can we look into it? Even if it saves, my brother, $100,000, that is the size of a village clinic in Adaklo or Walewale. That is very critical to this country. When we spend money that ought to be used to buy ambulance on drones, when you spend money that is to buy a GPS data that is free, and you pay $2 million, that cannot be a government that is working in you and I's interest. That is a government who is doing Yentiobia, leave them, and indeed, some of them have said in Parliament, we can say whatever we want to say, they will approve it anyway. But we in the opposition, the minority, would have gone home knowing that we've done our job. We have defended the position of the vulnerable people of this country.
I'll take a couple of messages and wrap up on this conversation. And this one says, I don't know why, and Piero Prospero says, I don't know why Joy always holding the opposition accountable instead of the government. I unfortunately don't have government within me here. And well, this one says, Raymond, don't let him off the hook. John Bambio, we need a proof. Politicians are fond of making sweeping statements. I'm running out of time. MPP and NDC always lies about these things. Philanto is the one that put it out there. Well, folks, I need to go. Forgive me. Folks, we have to end it here. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of UPfront. Make time to join us next week, Wednesday and Thursday, for another set of wonderful discussions on the nation's development and the most important issues of the day. My name is Raymond Akwa. I had the Honorable Kesula Forsen earlier in the day. Then later on, you heard the Honorable Kwame. You have your name, Govins Agboja, joining us later on this conversation. Thank you for being with us today.